everybody, final thoughts time for Finished. But before we get to that, first of all, a quick shout out to one of my Rahdo Runs Through Kickstarter backers, Eric Scherer, who requested this. Eric, I hope you enjoyed the run through. If it helps you decide if you want to pick it up for yourself. And then the other thing, folks, remember, always turn on the Klingon subtitles because I make goofs, and I certainly made a fairly big repeated goof here. So much so I figured I'd call it out since I was giving a shout out to Eric anyway. When you are trying to create a sequence of cards that are the same number so that you can get suites when you file them away, you have to have at least 3 cards in the sequence before you get that bonus. So I guess you can kind of imagine I was playing kind of like an intro tutorial version where I could get suites with only 2 in a sequence. It's a little thing, but it can add up. So bear that in mind, and as always, please watch with the Klingon subtitles turned on. And oh my gosh, I have to interrupt this correction with another correction. Folks, a pretty sizable goof I made throughout the video is you cannot collect more suites when you bring a suite card from the future or the past into the present. That only happens when you first play them. So I was making a lot more suites in this run through than I should, which means the game is even more challenging than I demonstrated. But anyway, you would know that if you watched with the Klingon subtitles turned on. Klingon subtitles are your friend, turn them on. And anyway, now, final thoughts time for Finished. I just gotta say, Friedemann Friese, this guy, as a designer, he is fearless. He is not afraid to put out something that at first glance people say, what, really? Ah, no, thank you. Oh, it's solo only? Oh, it replicates office work? Pass. He doesn't care. He's just going to put out anyway because what he's done here is created a very, very cool, fun, little, fast-playing puzzle. This is a heck of a lot more fun to play than Klondike or any of the standard variants that you might have grown up playing, and I've been really enjoying it. It's very, very satisfying every time you run through that deck to get more and more finished cards as it builds up. Now, I didn't play long enough for you to see that start happening, but those early steps, the first couple of rounds of the deck, you might not be getting very much done, but you're setting things up so that later in the game, as you're starting to run out of coffee, you're getting more and more cards put in, and just like multiples in a row. It's it's just a really great feeling. And while, again, I appreciate that for some people, I don't want to feel great as a file clerk. I was really, really surprised. I mean, it does, it actually, I mean, I've worked in an office. I've done, data entry and stuff like that in my earlier days. So I'm very, very familiar with this. And it really does kind of capture that feel of I love it when a plan comes together. I love it when I can get all these things, creating order out of chaos is, for some people anyway, not necessarily for all people. Some people love to wallow in chaos and just try to work their way through it. But if you're the type of player who likes it, oh, that's a big old mess. I don't like that. I need to straighten everything out. If you have certain OCD tendencies, you might find yourself very entertained by this because this is an entire game that supports and encourages that type of compulsion of making sure everything is in the right place. And if you do it well, like I said, it's a really smart feeling. Now, one thing I will say, I was showing you the standard mode for the game, which the rules come right out and say is the easy mode, and it is. It's if you get the flow down a little bit, it's not going to be too terribly tough. But the game actually comes with several different difficulty levels, so you can push yourself way, way hard so that it does actually have some legs. I think it will get to the point, much like for a lot of people, this happened with Friday, Friedemann Friese's previous solo-only game. They play it so much they get to the point where, okay, I think I've got this mastered now. I can see that potentially happening with Finished as well. You might get to the point where you are literally finished with this. But along the way, again, depending on your personal peccadillos in terms of order versus chaos, you might have a good time along the way and have some delicious sweets. One more thing I really do think is very, very cool, and it is hard to get your head around, is the notion that at any given time there are 3 or more rows of cards. There's what you're working on in the present, there's what you've done and you've put into the past, and there's the work you've pushed off into the future. And what's actually is possible, and it's not at all uncommon to see actually 2 or even 3 rows of the future. And then things really start getting interesting as you can actually plot out and plan, okay, well, I know, okay, there are actually times when you might actually put cards into the past
not in the correct numerical order because you know what's coming in the future. And you know, okay, well, I can't really make what I'm putting into the past jibe well with this, but if I put them out of order, then what I'm putting into the past is going to jibe well with what I know is in the future and is coming into the present. Just even saying that out loud sounds insane, but I think hopefully you have a pretty good idea of whether that sounds compelling or not. And I did actually find myself enjoying Finished quite a bit. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.